That's day one. Got some burgers cooking up, got a nice campsite. Did 277 miles. Weather was absolutely perfect. It was everything we hoped. Kind of surreal that we're actually out here doing it, but yeah. Beautiful ride, beautiful weather. We just loved every minute of it, so hopeful for a lot more days like these. Here's camp night 2. We are in the Smoky Mountain National Forest. We did 300 and what, Manly?
337.
337 miles today, and it was awesome. Some of the my favorite riding I've ever done. It was lots of we hit like western North Carolina was kind of some farmlands and rolling hills, and then we started getting east of the Smokies and started to get into some mountains, and it was just windy the whole way, mostly pavement, but really enjoyable riding, just kind of flowing back and forth, winding through the mountains. So it was super fun, and we have riding through the Smokies to look forward to first thing tomorrow morning. So we don't have service, so we don't know what the radar's looking like, but last we checked it was potential for rain, so we're preparing for that and hoping it doesn't. But yeah, anything to add, Manly?
It's been fun. Looking forward to the rest.
Yes, sir. This is camp day 3. Dinner tonight is sausage and rice. I think today was my favorite day yet. It was, we got to do some of everything. We started the day with a pretty chill like cruise through the Smoky Mountain National Park, and then we hopped on the Tail of the Dragon, which if you know motorcycles or cars, you might recognize as it's been called the best driving road in America. It's super twisty, tight hairpins for just miles, and it was a blast to ride. We had a great time just weaving back and forth, and then we didn't
even know that we were going to be on it.
Yeah, it was a surprise. The road started getting really twisty, and then there were like people off to the side with cameras, taking pictures. Yeah, there were hundreds of motorcycles out there. I mean, everybody was riding it. And then, we got into some gravel stuff later on the day, did a few river crossings. I got a video of Manly.
Some were successful. He decided to give the bike a quick wash in one of them. Gave it a little dunk. Looks great now.
And then, we had, everything was super scenic too, just really pretty, and some highway riding that was just really smooth, and just flowy roads weaving back and forth with a pretty overlook, pull-offs all the way, and so we had a blast. So far each day keeps getting better than the last, so hopefully that will continue. But anything to add?
I don't think so. Keep hoping that we make it.
Well, we're winding down day 4. Dinner tonight. It's hot and ready. Just absolutely hitting the spot. We are beat. We hit our first dose of rain today. Had probably 2 hours of pretty steady rain.
Yeah.
And overall fared pretty well. Weren't necessarily dry, but we did all right, and it was pretty fun actually. And then kept trucking our way through Tennessee, and it's been really pretty, especially after the rain. Everything was bright green and lots of rolling hills and pastures. So I enjoyed some pretty scenery, and did how many miles? 350 miles. We're kind of pushing, trying to get to Manly's family's cabin in eastern Arkansas for tomorrow night. So if we log another big day tomorrow, I think we can make it there, which might be a tall order with how we're feeling, but
we'll see.
Showers and a bed are strong motivators, so see how it goes. Well, here we are, day 5 at the Roberts cabin. Made it in.
Eating pizza again.
We sure are. Definitely a huge blessing to have the cabin. Thank you to the Roberts. Looking forward to a shower tonight. And yeah, we did 298 miles today. So another full day, but a good one. Started in Mississippi doing a lot of like logging roads, which were pretty. It was definitely the most dirt we've done.
By far. Yeah, we did a lot of gravel and stuff today.
Yeah, quite a bit of gravel roads. And then crossed over into the great state of Arkansas and swung by the official TAT sign-in area in eastern Arkansas. Met Percy. Yep. And we were surprised to learn that there were, that he said like 400 to 500 people do it every summer, and they've been having people almost every day. So potential maybe to meet somebody that's doing it. We haven't met anybody who's doing it also yet, but signed our names in the logbook and then turning on to the cabin.
Yep.
So yeah, looking forward to a little bit of a restful evening and then back at it again tomorrow. Here's the setup for tonight. And we're working on the tent. We did 323 miles today and had a great day. Another day of lovely weather. Making it kind of trekking across to Arkansas, which is absolutely beautiful. Certainly reinforced the idea that Arkansas is super slept on as a state. It is. The riding today was every bit as fun as Eastern Tennessee and North Carolina. It doesn't have, the mountains don't have the height that those have out there, but it's a beautiful state, and it was super fun riding today. So yeah, tomorrow we'll be heading to Manley's house in Northwest Arkansas. Should be not too long of a day to get there, so should have the afternoon to kind of chill there, and then that's where we'll part ways, unless I can talk Manley into continuing in the next 24 hours. But what are the chances of that?
Pretty low.
We'll try our best. We made it into the hog trough back at Manley's place. Pretty short day of riding today, so we had some time to chill and did some work on the bike, and just hanging out here this evening. Aiden's going crazy on some skis.
Hey.
Just chilling.
Glad to have the boys back at the hog trough, get a night's rest, and Seth hit it back hard tomorrow.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's day 8. I'm camped out by the Great Salt Lake, which apparently there's some small salt plains in Oklahoma. Sausage and ramen for dinner, which I am very much looking forward to eating. I'd read that Oklahoma is some of the drier days of the trip with repetitive scenery and pretty flat and just straight roads. But today was anything but dull. A couple hours after leaving the boys' house, a storm came fast and hard, and I got rained on bad for several hours. It was almost like something out of a movie. That it's like midday, and it looked like sunset with like orange sky to the south and heavy gray clouds and some lightning and lots of like swollen ditch banks that had water running across the road, and it was pretty intense. When I finally made it to a gas station, there was another poor soul on a motorcycle there, and in his words, I said, I've seen better days for riding, and he said, it's effing insane, which was a pretty good summary of a couple of hours of riding in there. But we made it through safely and without getting too wet. And yeah, the rain gave way to a pleasant evening here. So looking forward to devouring some food and going to bed. Well, we got a bit of a situation. She's buried pretty good. There was, up here, the rain washed down a barbed wire fence, and it's laying across the road. You can't really see it, but it's laying across the road like a spike strip, which thankfully I saw in time to dodge. But then we ended up here as a result. So, got this one to figure out now. Tried dragging it out just with my body weight, but that's no good. You can't get any grip anyways with my feet over there. So my best plan now is to grab one of the fence posts, stick it in the ground, and try and use a ratchet strap to pull it out. So really don't know if that's gonna work, but it's the best I got right now, so wish me luck. Praise the Lord, it's out. Ended up finding a wooden fence post that I was able to stick in the ground by my foot to give me enough push to pull against, and then dump the bike over on the side and pulled as hard as I could and was able to drag it out to some better ground. So the bike's covered in mud and I'm covered in sweat, but we're back underway. Sorry, Mom, but I'm definitely getting beer tonight. That's day 8. Dinner tonight is some beef soup fortified with corn and beans. Did 330 miles today, even with the mud ordeal. Started off the day getting rained on again, which was a bummer and made the dirt roads nearly impassable. So I hopped on the highway for a couple hours and just knocked out some miles through the rain, and then yeah, cleared up a little bit, had the mud ordeal, and then the afternoon went pretty well, just cruising down dirt and gravel roads for the remainder of the day. But the developing story is that the drama might not be done for today. Off to the north, it's looking pretty foreboding, and they're calling for some severe thunderstorms to come through. And on the way to the campsite, I promise I'm not making this up, on the way to the campsite like 10 minutes ago, more than 10, 30 minutes ago, the car I was following was one of those storm chaser vehicles headed the same direction as me. So yeah, they're calling for potential of hail. So we'll see how my $60 Amazon tent holds up. I put every stake in the bag down, holding the tent. So yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. The good news is they have a bathroom like house deal here. So if it really does get bad and starts to hail or something, I can just duck in the bathroom and I'll have a fixed shelter. So at least feel good about having that as a backup option. But it looks like the worst is going to be east and south of here. So hopefully it'll be all right, but time will tell. Well, this is camp day 10. Made it through the storm last night just fine. There's quite the show of lightning, but the tent and everything held strong. Thankfully, no hail. And on to a great day today. Was camped pretty much on the border of New Mexico, so started the day swinging through New Mexico, which was super cool. Just the vastness of it was very impressive, and was such a cool way to experience it on the bike, just riding dirt roads kind of through the backcountry. It was pretty much just me and the bike all morning, with the exception of some antelopes, which was really fun. I saw several of them throughout the day, and a couple up pretty close to the road, so that was cool. And then into Colorado and got new tires put on the bike, which is awesome. Nice fresh knobby tires for the remainder of the trip. That should get me through. And yeah, then enjoyed kind of heading west through Colorado, which has been super pretty. Most of the day the mountains were off in the distance, but camped pretty close to kind of the start of some mountains, and tomorrow should be winding through the mountains, so I'm looking forward to that. Well, there's day 11 with a beautiful sunset in the Rocky Mountains. Got a beautiful campsite here. And yeah, what a day. It was fantastic. Beautiful weather, just amazing riding. I did like 250 miles, all in Colorado, and just loved every mile of it. It was, lots of, pretty much all dirt roads except for going into town for gas and just winding through the mountains. Such a cool way to experience it. I know probably most of you guys have been out and kind of seen the grandeur of the Rockies, but it is definitely a different experience riding just kind of these flowing dirt roads through them. It's a completely different game than looking out the window of the family minivan. So I'm very thankful to have the opportunity to be out here. Pretty much every gas station I've stopped at, somebody comments, where are you going, where you been, something about the bike, and I'm just, oftentimes they mention, I wish I could do a trip like that, or I've always wanted a bike like that. And so I just feel very thankful that I have the opportunity to do this trip and that it's been going well so far. So hopefully that continues. Got a bit of work done on the bike this evening, and yeah, got some chorizo, beans, and rice for dinner. So I'm going to cook that up and then probably head to bed. Well, it's a beautiful morning here. Packed up camp, started the bike, and then was met with a bunch of white smoke, which I found is from the shock dripping its oil down onto the exhaust, which was a heart-sinking feeling to say the least. I had noticed towards the end of the day that the shock seemed to be soft, and so last night I added some compression to it to stiffen it up and didn't think anything more of it. Then looks like it's been dripping out its oil all night and is continuing to drip out oil. I was just looking at the map. It looks like I'm about 60 miles from any town worth mentioning. It's the closest town, I guess, or the closest significant town is Gunnison. So I think I'm just going to try and ride there. Hopefully I'll have service to at least do some Googling and figure out how bad it is. Maybe they'll have a bike shop there too. Yeah, I don't know. Feeling pretty disheartened. Really hoping I can get the bike to Seattle. So, yeah. Well, we made it to Gunnison. And there are a couple, actually, motorcycle shops here, but unfortunately they're closed today, with it being Sunday. But I'm not sure how helpful they were going to be anyways. The bike is 20 years old, so I think the chances of any parts being in stock were pretty much zero. But yeah, been reading through Proverbs over the trip, which has a lot to say about asking God for wisdom and seeking wisdom. So I've been doing that and gonna do some Googling, probably seek some counsel from my parents, and we'll see what the plan is from here. Been reminding myself on the ride over that my hope and joy is not found in motorcycles or a great trip, as fun as they are and the trip has been. So I feel like I'm in a good place to accept whatever the outcome is of the research, but I feel like there's a good reason for optimism that I'll be able to finish the trip, even if the shock is a little jank. But yeah, do some research and I'll keep you guys posted. We're getting back underway. I think the shock's gonna be fine. We're just gonna ride it as is. There's not much to do about it. Just might be a little bumpy. It's pretty much gonna be riding on a spring, at least once all the oil drains out. But we'll give it a couple days here. In a couple days I should be in Moab, which by then shops should be open, and hopefully if it's real bad I can get something worked out there. The other thing I noticed while I was looking over the bike is that the engine coolant was unsettlingly low, so I spent an hour trying to find the motorcycle specific coolant that I use in town, which of course all the motorcycle shops are closed, so I couldn't find that. So just topped it off with distilled water and put distilled water in my water bottles so I can keep topping it off. And yeah, I see a small spot on the radiator where I think it might be leaking. Hopefully it's not leaking very fast, and that's enough to get me to Moab, which should be able to get some motorcycle specific coolant there too. So yeah, I don't know, hasn't been an ideal day, but I'm just trying to get back riding at this point. Well, I was hoping not to take another video for a while, but here we are. Turns out the coolant leak is a much more serious issue than I realized. It's not quite the just top it off at the end of the day kind of leak I would thought and hoped it was. Instead, it's like a steady drip. So thankfully I've got some JB Weld, and I'm gonna try and identify the leak and then patch it with the JB Weld, which I think has a decent chance of working, so hopefully it does. But yeah, on we go, rolling with the punches. Well, here's the current status. Put JB Weld on the radiator. Just waiting for it to set up now. I'm pretty sure I identified the leak and got it patched. Cautiously optimistic that this fix is gonna work. I'm thankful for the time in Alaska. Definitely learned a thing or two about just fixing stuff with what you have there, and that's certainly come into play here, but I think there's a good chance this will work. And yeah, might clean myself up a little bit while I wait, hang out, maybe clean up a few other things on the bike, but at least it's a beautiful day, so just be sitting around for a little bit, and then I'll start it up and hopefully no more leak. Well, we're still here. It didn't work. I patched the main hole, but it just started leaking out around the side of the JB Weld, so I used the rest of the JB Weld I have to patch that around the side, but honestly I'm not feeling very hopeful. It'll probably take another hour of waiting till that dries to even try it, but the real bummer is with tomorrow being Memorial Day, it's not even, I would have to wait till Tuesday for the bike shops to open to potentially get a new radiator. And unlike the shock, this one definitely is a showstopper. I can't keep going with a coolant leak, especially, I mean, I'm going across like the desert in a few days if I make it out there. So yeah, gonna have to figure something out, but trying my best to stay encouraged, but it's getting tough. All right, here's where we're at. Pitched my tent at the pull-off where I first stopped to check the coolant, which, as far as pull-offs alongside the highway go, it is pretty beautiful. So there's definitely worse places to be. So my plan is to spend the night here regardless, but I'm gonna start the bike up and see if the second attempt at the patch worked. If it did, then I will happily go to town, get some dinner for tonight, and you guys will see this post tonight. If it didn't work, I decided I'm best off just staying here. I think I could get it to town, but I'm just gonna have all the same problems and also not have a place to stay for tonight. So if it didn't work, I'll just be spending the night here, eating a freeze-dried meal that I had for a backup, and yeah, then trying to figure it out tomorrow. I guess I'll go into town. Hopefully with service, I'll be able to call some people, do some Googling, and get something figured out. But really hopeful that the second patch worked and I can go get a proper dinner, and then that'll also give me, it's about 30 miles to town, so that'll also give me a test run. So if it continues, if it doesn't leak now and continues not to leak on the run into town and back, then I'll feel a lot better about starting off tomorrow morning, headed west again, because I really don't hit another big town for 2 days. So yeah, I want to feel confident about it before I leave here. So, hoping for the best. Well, praise God, I'm back in town. Fired it up and it seemed to be holding all the coolant. Just did the 30-mile ride into town and it's still holding strong, so I'm so thankful. And yeah, decided I'm gonna get steak for dinner tonight. It'll be a recovery day. I think the blessing in disguise of today is that it's given me kind of a rest day. I guess it is Sabbath after all. And yeah, so even just as like the JB Weld was drying, I got the chance to just take some quiet time, just sitting with nothing more to do than do some reading. And so yeah, it's been a good day. My body was definitely starting to show some wear too, so it's definitely no harm in taking a day off on that front either. I do have a deadline. Got a flight booked out June 8th to get to Logan and Kelsey's wedding, but I think I had a day of margin, so hopefully all goes well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to heading west again tomorrow morning. That's day 13. And check out this campsite. Camped out by the Dolores River, which I guess is popular for whitewater rafting because there's a bunch of people with rafts and trailers down by the river. Did 290 miles today. And yeah, the bike ran super strong, which I am very thankful for. The JB Weld held, no coolant leaks at all. And yeah, the rear shock is done leaking out oil because it's out of it. And it's definitely a bit of a pogo stick back there, but it's surprisingly manageable. I think even if I can't figure out anything else, it'll be fine to go to Seattle as is. I should make Moab by midday tomorrow, so I'll stop in and see if I have options there, but regardless, I think it'll be fine. Had a lovely morning, just enjoying the mountains out here, riding the dirt roads. Yeah, I try to take pictures, but it's just hard to capture it. You guys just gotta come out here and do it. You don't have to do the whole across the country thing. Just at least get a motorcycle, trailer it out here, and spend a long weekend riding around Colorado. It'll be a great experience. Yeah, in the afternoon I hit some road closures. Pretty much all the off-road mountain passes are still closed from snow and then water from the runoff. So those weren't an option, so I had to detour around on the highway, which was totally fine. A bit of a bummer, but still a beautiful day and very enjoyable riding. Great scenery, and yeah, was a great afternoon. That also allowed me to make some good progress westward. So I'm right kind of on the edge of Colorado, about to go into Utah tomorrow. So look forward to that. The rocks have all changed to red and kind of that iconic Utah landscape. Definitely starting to see that. So yeah, got some ground beef and rice and beans for dinner. So gonna cook that up and call it a night.
Well, it's always something. That's gas overflowing from the carb bowl because the float's stuck. So got that one to figure out this morning. There's a couple easy fixes, and then the hard fix would be pulling the whole carb off. So hopefully I don't have to do that. One of the easy fixes works, but we'll keep pressing on. Well, how about that? I think I finally caught a break. Just drained the float bowl, blew a little air up the drain hose, and gave it just a touch of percussive maintenance, and I think she's good to go. It's hard to say for sure if it's an issue that'll come back. It was pretty cold, so maybe things just got a little stiff, but there was a piece of dirt or something that kept the float needle from sealing. That could maybe come back to be a problem. But hey, I'm about to start riding, and so I'm happy about that. That's day 14. Sun's about to set. Pretty view. And what a day. Hard to believe that it's already been 2 weeks. It's gone fast, but yeah, today was incredible. I did just under 250 miles, and the only thing slowing me down all day was just stopping to take pictures and appreciate how beautiful everything was. I know I've said it before, but today was definitely my favorite day so far. Just perfect weather, and the scenery was just unreal. Started off, branched into Utah pretty quick early in the day, and got to wind through some mountains. Just really enjoyed that beautiful countryside. Been a new obstacle. Had snow drifts across the road that forced me to turn around at one point. I met a local guy, and he said that this year has been absolutely crazy for snow, which also kind of explains why I couldn't get through the mountain passes in Colorado. I think I remember seeing some pictures this winter of like snow up above ski lifts, and yeah, the local guy was describing some of that, just how much snow they've had. But yeah, so worked around that, wasn't a problem at all. Enjoyed the morning. Got to Moab. It was going to be like 4 or 5 days for anything new on the shock, so nothing going there. I'm just going to take it as is to Seattle. Got some coolant for the bike, though, that I'll put in tonight and replace what's now mostly distilled water that's in there. And then, yeah, continued on from Moab, and yeah, just the huge red rock walls, just crazy impressive. And then had a couple hours just kind of across pretty flat, like deserty areas through the midday. That was just impressive with just the vastness of it. And then this afternoon and evening, got to wind through some canyons that were just crazy. I spent probably 3 hours just working through these canyons with these huge rock walls on either side, several hundred feet. Rock walls just either side right by the road, just winding through kind of like these dry riverbeds. It was super fun riding, and yeah, just crazy beautiful. It's hard to describe, and the pictures certainly don't do it justice, but it was breathtaking and a bit humbling too. It was, some moments it was kind of like, who am I to be here and experience this? I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to be out here, and loving it. It was hard for me to stop riding today, but got some dinner, and I'm looking forward to getting back on the bike tomorrow.
here's camp, day 15. Had another beautiful weather day, which I'm very thankful for. Started off the morning with just a beautiful ride. Had kind of a technical climb up into the mountains, and then just got to spend some time riding through kind of the valleys, and got up on this ridge line, which was really cool. And yeah, just really vast kind of rolling terrain, these tall evergreen trees, and then lots of like ridges and plateaus, less distinct mountain peaks, but more like just these long ridges, which were really cool. Got to ride along top of one, which was awesome. Was up above 9,000 feet for a lot of the morning, and then as that started to go up towards 10,000 feet in elevation, started to run into a bunch of snow, and it got pretty rough riding pretty quick, with a lot of water from the snow melting, making the trails muddy, and then snow drifts across the trail. Was able to push through some of it, but then eventually hit this like probably 6 to 10 feet in some spots, snow drift, and the only tracks through it were these big old moose tracks, which were pretty cool to see. But it was pretty clear. Unless you were a moose or riding a snowmobile, there was no getting through. So had to backtrack for a while, and kind of netted 0 miles until about 1 in the afternoon. But it was lovely riding, very physical. I was pretty tired for sure. But then did kind of some highways to work around that, and then later on this afternoon kind of started working across these plains with mountains in the background. And yeah, there's just very well maintained dirt roads. Get up in 5th gear and just kind of cruise, which was perfect because I was pretty tired from this morning, and was hoping to make up some miles. So these roads have been perfect for that. I've actually been, you might be able to see it, been following this road. You can't really see it in the video, but basically been cutting across these plains towards Nevada, which I should be at pretty soon tomorrow. So looking forward to that. Well, hey guys, let me update you on yesterday up till about 6 p.m. It was just another amazing day. My first time in Nevada, and it has been really, really cool. The mountains don't have like the height of Colorado, but they were just unending. And everything's like, all the plant life is really short. Like nothing's above like 2 feet. So you could see really far across these like valleys between mountains, and the mountains were kind of more like gentle rolling mountains, which was really cool. And yeah, I just never left the mountains all day. It just kept going and going. Got to see several wild animals, which was really fun. Got to see some antelope again, some deer, and then the coolest one was I got to see some wild horses, which was one of the coolest things yet on this trip. I didn't even really realize that there were still wild horses, but apparently there are, and they're pretty much all here in Nevada. And so I got to see a herd of those just kind of running across this plain with mountains in the background. And yeah, it was just really cool. Got a short video of it for you guys. So but then yeah, the trails were a lot less rocky than like Utah. So they were a lot faster and pretty flowy. You could just hop up on the pegs, get your chest over the bars, and just kind of let the bike dance underneath you. And some of my favorite riding, which just made it super fun. Like when I was, watching the antelope take off running, I almost felt like I was right there with them. It was just a really free experience, I guess, and super remote. I saw one car all day, other than going into town for gas, and he wasn't even on the same trail as I was. I just could see him across the plain. But it was, yeah, pretty much just me and the antelope and the horses, which was just super, super cool. And yeah, the vastness of the country was just amazing too. Like it was, I mean, I was out in the middle of nowhere and it just kept going. Felt like the Wild West, or at least as close to it as you can get these days. So really enjoyed that. And then about like 6, when I was starting to look to set up camp, the bike started a funky electrical issue that I'm still not sure what it is. So I'm going to work on figuring that out today. But basically, well, the story deserves to be told in full, and I'll tell it at some point. But basically, I felt like the bike might not start again, so I wanted to get to a town close to people before I shut it off in case it didn't start again. But then that was really complicated by some flooded roads and some other obstacles. But I made it to a city, Battle Mountain, by a little before midnight last night, which coincidentally, Battle Mountain is pretty much what I did last night. Not sure that I won, but at least I made it out into the city, so I'm very thankful for that. So yeah, I'm gonna look into the electrical issue, see if I can figure something out, and see where we go from here. So here's where we're at. The bike started up this morning, and I made it into town, and went to Napa Auto Parts, got the battery tested, and it was down at 12.9 volts, which isn't great. And so I was hoping they would just be able to charge it, but they actually ended up having the same battery in stock, which is a big blessing. So I got a new one. Unfortunately, you have to add acid, let it sit, and then charge it for a couple hours. So they're doing that for me, but it's gonna be a few hours before I have that new battery. So I got some body armor, some donuts for breakfast, and I'm now walking to a trucker's gas station, which supposedly has laundry and a shower, which would be incredible if I could do laundry and get a shower. So pretty sure I look homeless right now, and I guess in some ways I'm not too far off. Half my stuff's still at the campsite from this morning, and then my bike is halfway torn apart in the Napa parking lot. But hey, we'll figure it out. I'm not exactly convinced that the battery is the only issue. It's the one thing. I'm not sure it explains all the symptoms, just having a flat battery. And there's a spot by the coming off the regulator and rectifier that I know has a burnt through wire. So I wonder if something shorted out there. It's just like wrapped in electrical tape because the bike's a little jank. So I'm gonna pull that apart and try to see if maybe something shorted out there. That would also explain some of the issues. But yeah, hopefully that'll be all it is. And then hopefully we'll be able to get back riding this afternoon. Well, it's another lovely sunset, and yet another episode of What's Wrong with Seth's Bike this time. So, let's jump in. This time, we have 2 problems, which I'm not sure exactly if are related. One, the carb float, the bowl float down in here, a little plastic thing that goes up and shuts off when it fills up with gas. That's stuck. So this drain hose, when the gas is connected, just drains out gas because the float isn't shutting it off properly. So that one's exciting. There's a couple easy fixes. It actually happened before, and I didn't even bother reporting it because it was one of the easy fixes. So hopefully that's an easy fix. If not, I might be pulling this whole carb off and going through it in the tent tonight. The other issue, which you may have noticed already, is that the valve cover gasket completely blew out. As I was pulling up to this campsite, just heard a pop and then some white smoke as the oil that sprayed out of here burned off the engine. So that was cool. And yeah, there's a couple options for this one. So under normal operation, the valves, kind of this valve-like head up here, it does get some pressure buildup, which is supposed to vent through this hose. This is just a good old-fashioned hose that just allows the pressure to escape. So I did mess with this hose a little bit, trying to get to the stator this morning, diagnosing the electrical issue. So it's possible that I routed something wrong and it got pinched or it got blocked somewhere, which wouldn't allow it to vent here, which then caused it to vent out here. Thankfully this gasket doesn't look torn. It's not a gasket that seals any fluids, so I think it's going to be okay to reuse the gasket. I hope so, because I don't have another option. So it better be. But I think it will. But yeah, the real question is what caused that to blow out. So I'm going to check the hose, and if that's clogged, that would be the easy explanation. If not, there could be some weird explanations. Could be related to the carb, although it doesn't really make sense to me with what I know. But yeah, just another day in paradise. Well, plans are changing. With the new battery, the electrical issue of yesterday seems to be resolved. I was able to do 150 miles and stayed charged up nicely at 14.3 volts, which is exactly what I was hoping to see. Still think there could have been another factor at play. I think where the wires come out of the stator is not sealed really well, and it was soon after splashing through some water, so I wonder if maybe some water got in there that caused the battery to go flat so quickly. But regardless, doesn't seem to be a problem now, and for that I am very thankful. But with the lost day, and also just the added risk of increased miles going along the trail, the remoteness making any breakdowns a bigger deal, as well as just there's been even yesterday or 2 days ago, some washed out roads really complicated the issue. Flat tires, anything like that could go wrong. And with losing yesterday, I really don't have much margin in the schedule. So made the call kind of yesterday that it would be unwise to keep going on the trail in the more remote areas. And so with that, I was either going to still head to kind of the final destination on the coast to Port Orford, just favoring highways and paved roads, and then head up Highway 101 up to Maddie in Seattle. But then yesterday, pulling into camp, had two issues with the bike. One that I've faced before and one that was a brand new one. Took a couple hours, but thankfully I think I was able to get them resolved. But I think that might have been the convincing that I needed that I should just shoot straight for Seattle. So I think that's the plan. Just gonna favor more highways. And I think if all goes well and I have 2 full days riding, I can make it to Seattle in 2 days. So yeah, we're just gonna cut the corner and head for Maddie.
The other issue I forgot to mention is the rear sprocket is wearing really fast, and with the age of the bike, there's just not really any replacement options, so it doesn't seem wise to push that any further than it needs to be. And as far as like how I'm feeling about it, I mean, there is like a little bit of disappointment in not kind of doing the trail the way I envisioned, going to the coast and then working up Highway 101. And there's like a small part of me that's like, I'll just ride this bike as far as it takes me. And, when it gives out, I'll push it. And when I can't push it, I'll start walking, like I'm going to do it. But wisdom must prevail. And I feel confident that just cutting the corner to Seattle is definitely the wisest option. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not really that sad about it. This trip has certainly exceeded my expectations. I was hoping to take this kind of gap between graduation and starting work to do something memorable, to experience God's creation in a new and cool way, to make a lot of memories, and it has certainly checked all those boxes. So there's no way that I look back on this trip and think of it in any way as disappointing. So, kind of a bummer, but honestly, not really that sad about it. This trip has still been incredible, and I'm sure these next couple days, even favoring highways, are still going to be full of beauty and be fun days. So, gonna set off riding. Burgers tonight. Had a great day of riding, and I forgot to record a segment, but I think I did about 350 miles, and I'm about 350 miles from Seattle. So, bike ran strong today, so hoping to make it to Seattle tomorrow. Yeah, not a lot to report. Stuck mostly to highways. Everything went pretty smoothly. So, hoping for a similar day tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be hanging out with Maddie tomorrow night. Realized I never gave an update, but made it to Seattle. Been enjoying hanging out with Maddie and Sawhill, and got to go over last night and hang out with Nathan and Ethan on the boat. And yeah, it's been great being here. The bike made it. It was close with the rear sprocket, but it did it. And yeah, got it cleaned up. Took some pictures to post it online to sell it, and I'm doing some work on it now. Going through the carb, try and get it in tip-top shape here to put it online and see if somebody wants it. All right, lock in your total mileage guesses. It was 19 days and 5,305 miles. So quite the trip. Favorite day, favorite spot had to be either eastern Utah, just winding through those tall rock walls, and either that or Nevada, at least up until the electrical problems. But just the remoteness of Nevada, and yeah, just kind of those rolling mountains was super cool. Getting to see the different wildlife was super cool. So probably one of those two would be my favorite spot of the trip. Would I do it again? Definitely. Yeah, and I would highly recommend it. I'd recommend any trip like this. I came across this study a while ago that talked about like people at the end of their lives, and it was interesting because they pretty much always the regrets are always not doing things they could have. It's never like things that you actually did, which I don't really know why, but I guess maybe because whatever you do, even if it doesn't go to plan, which it probably won't, at least you learn from it and you get that experience and make the memories. But the things you don't do, you just flat miss out on. So I know like you don't always get the chance to do something like this, but so I'm very thankful to have the chance. And if you do, get the chance to go on a trip or something like that, even if it's a little out there, would highly recommend. For a conclusion of the trip, I don't know. Like, I wonder if some people think it was like some sort of self-discovery thing, even just like the people I met at gas stations. It's like this young guy like riding across the country. But I don't know. I don't really think I was lost before leaving, and I didn't have like any grand epiphany or some life-changing dramatic shift moment, but it definitely was a good time to reflect and do some thinking. I think yeah, my main goal was just to experience God's creation in a new and cool way, and get to see the country, which definitely did that. And yeah, that was just amazing. It's a big country, and there's just some breathtaking stuff out there for sure. Yeah, if I had to offer like a one-line conclusion, it would have to be from my favorite hymn, "How Great Thou Art." At least lines from it. "O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the works thy hand has made, then sings my soul, my God, how great thou art." That is, yeah, was very blessed to see some incredible things. And without a doubt, he is an amazing creator. So, yeah, it was an amazing trip. So thankful for it. Lots of memories that I'll hold on to forever.